folks. Thanks for joining us on our live webinar here today. I think you're going to enjoy this interview with one of our successful licensees who's gone through our training and can now answer your questions about what it was like to get her business started. Her name is, as you can see there on the screen, Tierni Martens, and we'll get going here in just 1 second. Let me introduce myself for those of you who haven't been on one of our webinars. We do these, by the way, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time, and my name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder and CEO, and I'm also the one of the board members of the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. That's a mouthful, isn't it? But you can go to MRMA.org and find out more about that organization. This is the organization that actually certifies you as a medical revenue manager once you've gone through our training. I'm also an author. You can find some of the books that you see here on the screen out there on Amazon.com or in your favorite bookstores. And that one in the middle there, The New Thriving Medical Practice, I wrote with Dr. Vicki Ratner. She's a retired general surgeon who helps people now connect with doctors and helps doctors to thrive in their medical practices. This is a marketing book that you can use in your business once you get started with your name on the cover of it. I'm also on the editorial board of BC Advantage magazine. That's Billing and Coding Advantage. Has about 40,000 subscribers. Yes, there's still print magazines that actually go out in the mail, and this is still one of them. By the way, we've been doing what we do here at American Business Systems for the last 25 years. This is our 25th anniversary. 1994 is when we started. And what we do basically is we have a cloud-based medical billing system and electronic health records and patient portal that's all online on the cloud, meaning you can use any computer, any format, any platform that you have, Mac, Windows, Chromebooks, doesn't matter. iPads, tablets, iPhones, Android phones, you can use anything that's connected to the internet to access our system. You literally could go to McDonald's and get on their Wi-Fi and hook up and actually run your business from McDonald's. That's right, it's HIPAA compliant, so it's very secure. And by the way, we do all this training as to how you get started in your business, how you get clients, how you actually do the medical billing and run the entire thing from anywhere in the world that has an internet connection through what we call our online live training classes. These are modules that we're actually taught by our certified instructors live, just like you're seeing me live here on this GoToWebinar. We use GoToMeeting for these, and you'll be able to speak with and see your instructor, talk to them. They're hour to an hour and a half each one of the modules, and you do these on your own schedule. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that towards the end. Basically, we have people from every walk of life, literally every background, every educational strata, every retired folks. We've got housewives. We've got people who are running other businesses that want to add this business to theirs. And we teach them how to do this medical billing for doctors working from their home or office from anywhere in the world. Then, like I said, we certify you with certification showing that you've gone through the training as you are a certified medical revenue manager. Now, again, a little bit more about that at the end. Let's get our guest on here today. I think she's just calling in today, but Tierni, are you still on the phone there with us?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hey, there she is. Now, Tierni, tell us where you're calling from out there on the West Coast, huh?
Yes, sir, I'm calling from Northern California.
Northern California. Well, we're not going to hold that against you because we love those folks out there. Now, too bad you're going to fall into the ocean soon, I'm sure. That's just a matter of time. So I hope that you've got a safe place that you can get away to. You actually have another business that you run, or your husband does, right, over in did you say Lake Tahoe?
Yes. He
Okay.
owns, yeah.
Well, so you can go over there if you need to, if the earthquake starts happening there.
That's right.
Now, I just realized I have our pictures up on the screen here. I also have my webcam on. I'm going to turn that off just because people don't need to see me live. They know I'm live here and they can see if they're watching their screen. But we'll focus in on some of the things that we talk about you and your business, Tierni. Because Tierni, you've gone through a lot of changes since you first started the business. But for those people who are listening to your testimony today, let's go back to that time when you were looking at the business. Why is it that you chose that you wanted to get into medical billing back then? You could have chosen a lot of different franchises and things that are out there.
Yeah, so my story is I had been a stay-at-home mom for 12 years, but always kind of been entrepreneurial minded. Always did things on the side, different businesses that I had kind of created. And when the kids were all back in school, I was kind of looking for something to do, and I started researching different franchise opportunities, and I found ABS. Kind of narrowed it down to two. One was, well, you guys, and then the other one was, gosh, it's been so long. I think it was a marketing company where you go around and put business logos on coffee mugs and pins and things like that. And I really wanted to do the other business. I thought it was a lot sexier than medical billing. And but for whatever reason, I just kept going back to ABS and ultimately decided that the most important thing to me was to not have a ceiling on my income. And because of that was just drawn towards ABS and what that opportunity could offer.
Yeah, now when you say no ceiling on your income, can you kind of explain how this business works? Because people who've not even looked into it much may not even realize that it is a residual type business, right? Once you get a client, usually those doctors are seeing patients every month after month.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the service industry. And so as long as we provide a good service to the providers, you're building that relationship with them. Trust becomes a huge factor and a huge component of the relationship. And once you've gained that and you're, able to use proven strategies that you learn through ABS, then that relationship becomes strong. And essentially, I mean, you're able to keep it, as long as you want the account.
Yeah, and like I said, those doctors are billing, are wanting the money from the patients that they see each month, and so unless you do really something serious to lose that account, you've got that client for, well, I guess until the doctor dies or retires. So it's a pretty solid business. Folks who haven't looked into this may not know this, but healthcare is like 1/5 of our economy, and so it's a good solid. What I call a real business, isn't it? It's not a passing fad of any kind. It's going to be around, I think, as long as there's humans that get sick.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great industry to be in.
Now you're on the phone. I don't think you're looking at a computer, Tiffany, but I have a picture of you when you graduated from our class. That was when we were actually doing live training classes here in Dallas. Now we do all that online through a virtual training, which I think is the future for all education, by the way. But anyway, the point is, there's a picture of you and a friend, and you remember Eric Auger? He's in the picture there on the right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm in my mafia suit on the left. I don't know why I wore this, but it's kind of a black suit, black shirt, and a gold tie. So anyway,
Yes, I remember that day well, actually.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah,
That was pretty
I
exciting.
actually do. Yeah.
That was pretty exciting. Now let's go from that graduation that day. Well, first of all, I want you to tell the people about the training, what it covers, and what your initial thoughts were when you first came down. Were you thinking, oh gosh, this is going to be dull, boring stuff?
Well, I mean, you're scared to death, and it's like all of the information you've been given is, of course, given through ABS. And, that's who we just gave our money to. So, I mean, there's a ton of fear.
Right.
There's a ton of fear. Is this actually going to work? So I think by the end of day one, I think, consistently between everybody that was in attendance, all had the same feeling that, okay, we're getting it. We're finally understanding, because your fear is, usually based on unknown factors, meaning I had never been in the medical billing industry. I had no idea what I was getting into. I felt confident I could do it, but didn't really understand the details. And so, the training really breaks down every element of what you need to know, from basic marketing strategies to helping you set up your business, to understanding how you're going to go in and speak to a provider, just every single thing that you need to know. So by the end of the training, you have the tools that you need to go out and do what you need to do. So it was incredibly helpful, very reassuring. And by the end of training, you can finally connect the dots and go, okay, I got it. I can do this.
Yeah, that's kind of like when my wife and I started our business doing billing for doctors. This was back in the early 90s. We had no idea, of course, what to do because we didn't have a system that somebody had put together with all the marketing ideas and so forth. So I basically was just going out knocking doors, getting business cards, and mailing out some letters. And that's what we've learned does not work, generally speaking. Now, in your case, I think it did work because we taught you to do what we call lunch and learns. And why don't you tell a little bit about that? By the way, I've got a picture that I took out there when my wife and I visited you there in California of that original office building. I'm going to put that up on the screen here. You're standing there by an American flag. You remember that? Red door?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was my first office space. Yes. Yeah.
Now, did you get that early on, or how soon after you got started, or did you just say, "Hey, I'm going to go rent an office for, a few $100s a month"?
Yeah. So actually, I own that office. My husband and I did that as a business investment prior to going to ABS. The office space came up available. And instead of renting it out, I went, you know what? I'm just going to move into this space. So working from home at the time was perfectly okay. And it was, doing everything I needed it to do. But given the fact that that was my building and now it was empty, it just kind of made sense to me to move into it.
Sure. And let's see, somebody is asking about the question here. Bob says, what did you do to get your first client? You want to explain a little bit about that? You did some sort of mailing, didn't you? Some postcards or something?
So my first clients came from a lunch and learn. And what we did was we marketed the lunch and learn to local providers, picked 2 topics, and basically put on this event for providers and office managers to attend. At the time, God, it's been so long. I think we talked about the rack audit, and I don't even know what the other topic was, but they came, we actually fed them and did this presentation for them. And then at the end, they, obviously came up and spoke with us. And from that seminar, I signed my first client, and then a month later signed my second client who was also from that seminar. So yeah, that's where I got my first 2.
Yeah. So where did you hold that? Did you rent a place or?
Yeah. So we have there's a local restaurant in our community that was really nice, and they had a side kind of small conference room. And so I just kind of did a buffet style lunch, and people came in, did the presentation first, and then they got to eat at the end because I was afraid if I fed them, they would leave.
Smart.
So we tortured them through the presentation, and then they got to go ahead and eat at the end. So it was just a local restaurant that I worked with, and it worked out really well.
Now, were these office managers or physicians or a combination?
Yeah, I want to say I think we had maybe like 3 to 5 providers show up, but everybody else were office managers.
Yeah. And that's pretty typical. You'll have a mixture there. Of course, free food will get just about any medical person away from their office to have a free lunch. But how did you know what to actually say during that lunch and learn?
So during my training with ABS, we were educated about lunch and learns, and kind of went through the process of what those would look like, and different recommendations were given. So I just kind of took that information and went back to the drawing board and kind of created my own. And
Yeah, we've got slide decks now all worked out for people that they can use for those presentations, and we've got recorded presentations that they can watch so they can see what they should be saying. So, somebody put a note here. Are you calling her Tiffany? Did I call you Tiffany a while ago?
You did, but you know what's so funny is that my sister's name is Tiffany. And when people get my name wrong, they automatically go to Tiffany, which is interesting because that's my sister. But yes, you did call me
You,
Tiffany, but I knew
you,
what you meant.
the reason I did that is I just got a message on my cell phone. I should turn it over and not look at it, but it was from a Tiffany, a rep with GoToMeeting that I was supposed to call. So
Oh, that's
sorry,
funny.
it's Tierney. Okay, so Tierney, lots of questions coming in here, by the way. Don says, did you ever have any experience in the medical field previously? Not just billing necessarily, but any background in the medical field?
No, my mom was actually a midwife, and she worked for an OBGYN. And once in a great while, I would go into their office and kind of help file papers and stuff. But I mean, really, that's about it. And I don't know
Yeah.
that I can even claim that that's medical experience.
Right. Yeah. Well, in fact, that's true of, I would say, I'm just guessing here, but I'm stabbing it at 85% of the people who, sign up and go through our training have no background or experience. They don't need it because we literally teach you everything you need to know. Now, not necessarily in those first 8 modules or the first week when you were down here, Tiffany, Tierney, but we basically teach you everything you need to know to get out and get a client and get it started. And then there's always learning. You're constantly learning in this business, aren't you?
Oh gosh, that's never ending. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
still learning.
yeah. So I think I addressed Don's question there. And Alex, you were the one asking if it was for physicians, but she said it was kind of a mixture of office managers and physicians. Let's see. Don also says, how did you send the invite by mail or calling on the phone to get people to come to that lunch and learn?
Yeah, so I actually did a series of steps. So I created postcards and mailed those out at first. Then, let's see, I want to say it was a week later, we walked around to every single clinic or provider that we had mailed a postcard to, and passed out a flyer and just said, hi, we're going to be in this area on this time, and this is what we have going on. We sent you a postcard about it, but here's a flyer. Did that.
Yeah.
Then we ended up following up with a phone call afterwards, maybe like a week later or so, to just say, hey, we have a couple of spots available if you'd like to attend. And then anybody that actually registered for it, and I want to say I gave them an incentive of something like they were going to get a free denial assessment or something if they RSVP'd, or I can't remember. It's been so long now. But anyway, we ultimately sent them an email to finalize their registration. And I mean, anytime you put on an event and people RSVP, usually you've got what I think it's 80% or something show up.
Yeah.
But I think we had all but two, so we had a total of like 25 or so people there. It was a really good turnout.
Yeah, so it cost you a little bit, of course, for the meals. I guess the restaurant lets you use a certain room or something to do it in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But I guess that was a good investment then, whatever you spent,
It
right?
was a
Because
it
you got
was
a
a
client.
great investment. Yeah, I got two clients from it.
Oh, and so the second client was from that as well, just a little bit later.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the first one signed, I think, within like a week or so. We started the conversation. I ended up signing them, and I think it was like a month later, the second one from the seminar signed.
Yeah. Okay. So Rebecca's asking, how long did it take you to start your business after class? How long or hours does the class take? Okay, I can answer that second part, Rebecca. So, how long after the class did you actually do this lunch and learn and get your first client?
So it took me 6 months to sign, but I was marketing only kind of part time, and then the holidays hit, and I kind of retracted a little bit then as well. So I was not doing it full time.
Yeah.
But then January 1st came, we decided to put the seminar together. I think we presented it in like February or March. And as of that point, I dove in. Um, more. I'm not going to say full time, but definitely a lot more. So
Yeah.
about 6 months from the time I was at training.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are concerned about that. They want to see, of course, a return on their investment as quickly as possible. And of course, I've interviewed a lot of licensees, probably 75 or 80 now, and a lot of those have said, I got my first client in the first 30, 60, 90 days. It just depends, again, on how much time and effort you put into it. It's just like anything. So some people are going to get theirs faster than others. If they're part-time, it could take them, 6 months or longer. Okay.
Yeah,
The second
absolutely.
part of her question had to do with how many hours you had to put in for the class. Now, Rebecca, since we're doing that online, even though it's with a live instructor, again, 8 modules, an hour to an hour and a half. So you can do the math there and see that literally within 2 or 3 weeks, most people can get through the training completely and be out there marketing. In fact, you'll have homework assignments after each one of those classes with the instructor. And so you'll be able to just get out there and get started as quick as you want to. Oh, here's a question from Jeremy. He says, did you give demos of the software yourself or have ABS do the demos initially? Okay. So have we done demos
So
for
initially, ABS did the demos for me. And then, over the course of time, obviously seeing them do it, you're able to. But yes, they absolutely did my initial ones for me.
Yeah, and so folks, what we're talking about here is that once you get out, start marketing, you can set up demos with our staff at ABS. We actually get online with the doctor and go through the system, because the doctor, they kind of want to know, don't they, Tierni, what the technology is all about that you'll be using to do their billing, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they want to touch it, feel it, see it. Essentially they're making an investment as well. So yeah, that's incredibly important for them to be able to go through that process.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Don is asking, do you mind sharing your annual total sales and the number of people you employ? Just give us a feel for that if you could. Round numbers, just give folks a feel for what kind of volume, maybe how many claims you're doing each month, or and of course the number of people. You mentioned that earlier to me.
Yeah, so I'm not going to get into my finances, but
yeah, we don't know that Don might be with the IRS, so you don't want to share too much here about your finances.
I employ 15 full-time people, and we bill for, I haven't done an account recently because providers exit and come and go in different, but last count was like, I think 98, something like that.
So
98
Don,
providers.
Yeah. Don, you can do the math on that. If you go to our website, we have a little calculator there that you can plug in the numbers for a doctor and get a feel for that. But give us a feel also in general, again, what you charge doctors to do their billing. How do you make your money?
So charge a percentage, obviously, of the collections, and it really just kind of depends on the provider's specialty and how large their practice is. So the smaller their practice, the more I'm going to charge. The larger their practice, the less I'll charge. So it really just kind of, for me, it's about workflow. If you've got a primary care provider, you're doing a lot more work in the sense that primary care providers are seeing a lot more patients, smaller dollar amounts on the claims, versus if you're billing for a neurosurgeon, they're not seeing as many patients and the dollar amount on their claims a lot higher. So it really just kind of depends on what the situation is as to how I'm going to price it.
Sure. Yeah, we found nationwide that anywhere from 6 to 8% is probably right in there. Doctors are used to that. They know of other doctors who have been paying that. And really, as a percentage of what you're collecting for that doctor, that's not a whole lot. I mean, they probably spend a whole lot more than 8% on their own staff and their own software and IT support and updates and so forth, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 6 to 8%, I think, is nationwide a fair average.
And don't doctors like the fact that you're making a percentage, because of course you have a motivation there to collect every penny you can, because that's that much more money you make.
Exactly. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have an incentive.
yeah. Don wants to know, have you done any seminars subsequent to the first? Did you do any more of those?
Yeah, we did a couple more lunch and learns. I think I only did two after that initial one. And then once I started getting my providers and they started kind of coming in, via other avenues, whether it be word of mouth or networking, I kind of slowed down doing the lunch and learns because I was really focused for me and my business on making sure that the service I was providing was what I wanted it to be. So that became my
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah, that's what we hear from most licensees. They'll try some of the stuff that we teach. We teach about a dozen different ways to go out and market to the doctors, folks, and once they've got a handful of doctors, then they just work with those doctors to get referrals, and it kind of grows organically, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tierney, Alex is asking a great question here. He says, "Is this a good time to enter the market? Because this is a mature industry." Uh, it has been around for years. I mean, 25 years, my wife and I started back then doing medical billing. There wasn't a whole lot of outsourcing done back then, whereas nowadays it's pretty common. But what do you think the percentage of doctors are out there, Tierney, that are doing the billing themselves? Or is there still a market for finding outsourcing clients?
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as you have physicians, that's always going to be, something that they're going to need done. Um, I think it kind of depends on what area you're in as far as, how many you have accessible to you. Obviously, if you're in a bigger town, you might have, a little bit better chance. But I mean, I'm in a very small town and do well. So I think it just kind of depends.
And yet you built a great business there in that area of California. Now, so Alex, the question is a great one. It is a mature industry in that respect, but I would say as many of our licensees as are signing up doctors who currently do it in-house, are they're signing up doctors who are currently outsourcing. They're just not happy with the company that they're dealing with, and we've got so many advantages, don't we, Tierney, over the other companies out there that they usually see those advantages, especially when we do the demo for them, and they just, they'll switch.
Well, yeah, and I think what everybody needs to understand about this industry is there are a lot of companies that are not based in the United States. And when a provider is going to them to outsource their billing, a lot of times um, they don't understand that that billing piece and that support is going to end up in India or somewhere else. Um,
Yeah.
and all that's okay if they're happy with the service that they're getting, but a lot of times, they're not happy and they want someone here or someone that's accessible to them that can support them and have the tools that they need to, help the providers do what they need to do. So there's a lot of providers out there in pain over their revenue cycle that just really need help, and they're just waiting for someone to walk through the door to help them.
Yeah, they are, and we've got such great advantages. Like, there's a lot of companies out there using software that's, it's either not cloud-based or it's just not. It doesn't scrub the claims as clean as ours, and so their rejection rate on those claims from the insurance companies are, sometimes 20, 30%, and ours
Yeah,
is less than 2%, and so that makes a big difference in the cash flow for a doctor.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's Rebecca says, when signing agreements, is it always 6% for some few years, or it changes to different percentages? Have you gone up or down on your percentages over the years with clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have clients where we've started at a higher amount, and as their practice or organization grew, I've been willing to drop my percentage.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of ties in with a question here from Don. He says, do you provide any compensation to clients or friends for referrals?
Yeah, I have definitely done that in the past. So yes.
Okay, Ken says, do you have any comments on lunch and learns versus offering after hours dinners?
Yeah, I mean, it might be something that you want to play with. I mean, personally, providers are just like us. They want to go to work and they want to go home. And so, I don't know, I can tell you in my area, in my small community, that that probably would not work for me, but that doesn't mean in your area that that might be something that could work for you. So it's really a matter of kind of testing it out, try it, see what type of response you get.
Yeah, I remember getting an invitation from it was some sort of financial planners, that were having a dinner, and it was after hours, and I didn't want to go just because I kind of like to, hunker down and crawl in bed early nowadays. But it's not like people wouldn't go to it. But I think doctors kind of like getting out, in the middle of the day for lunch. Office managers for sure, have a reason to get out, and they're going to
Yeah.
eat lunch anyway. So yeah, it just
Yep.
depends. Yep. Uh,
Absolutely.
let's see. Now, Jeremy's saying, I work in the healthcare EMR software industry. Uh, Many of the larger vendors provide billing software and revenue cycle services. Do you face a lot of competition from the big companies that are out there?
Um, yes. I mean, I shouldn't say I face a lot of the competition. They're out there. Um, Pat, you know my story. I recently just beat out a nationwide company and with my billing services. So,
Yeah.
um, like I explained earlier, unfortunately, um, a lot of those companies, even though they are, considered the big dogs on campus, the reality is not every single provider is looking for that type of service. If you're a smaller group, say, 20 to 25 providers, um, they're not all looking for those huge companies that could be, outsourcing to some offshore, biller. So you're looking for a specific client, and there's a ton of them out there, and you're always going to face competition. But you're just going to have to make sure that um, that you're building the relationships with either future clients or your current clients, so those other companies become a mute issue.
Right. And, Tierney, I've interviewed many licensees who have signed up, larger groups. I mean, when I say larger groups, I mean, 6 to 30 or 40 doctors in a group. That's not uncommon because sometimes people don't want to deal with those big organizations that every time you call the 800 number, you get a different person, and then you're switched around all over the place. And sometimes it's overseas, and they like somebody that's local, don't they? They want to deal with you, the business owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Don says, "What is the city population size that you're currently marketing in, and how far a distance do you market from your home base? Can you give us a feel for that?"
Yeah, so the area I live in, we have about 50,000 people between two kind of counties, if you will, that when you live here, we kind of consider it just one big area. Um, but I mean, I go as far as, say, Reading and all the way over to, say, San Francisco. So, um, you can go as big or as small as you want to. It's entirely up to you.
Now, I know a lot of your doctors are local right now, Tierney, but have you over the years had doctors referred to you by local doctors that are in different states?
Um, I have had that happen a few times. None of those ever evolved into an actual client. But yes, I have had that happen.
Yeah. Interesting, because I've got licensees who they don't have any local clients. I mean, maybe one, and then that doctor referred another doctor in another state and so forth. Maybe they were willing to go out and visit those doctors. I don't know, why they signed them up, but a lot of folks have signed up doctors without ever, even seeing them. So it happens. I
Yeah,
know that.
sure.
Let's see. Well, that was a question that Jeremy just basically asked. Do you focus on the local market or have you signed practices nationally? A lot of our licensees have. Let's see. Don says, do you have persons assigned to call on new businesses or is it you? or do you do any marketing at this point?
I don't do any marketing at this point. For the past several years, I've been blessed to have been able to build my business to where I just get people coming to me. But yes, for many years I would do it. And if someone called right now and um, I would speak to them. So I'm usually the face of my business.
Yeah, Tierney, if I remember, I don't think you have ever told me that you had any sales reps. Have you worked with any sales reps?
When I first started, I had a couple that I worked with here and there, but ultimately I found that, just for me and what I was looking for, I enjoyed doing it. And so I ended up obviously not using them, but I have used them at different points in my business.
Yeah, Don, we have a whole program in our training on how to find and hire and train and pay sales reps. So many of our licensees have utilized sales reps. Again, it's all a personal decision as to whether you want to deal with other people like that or just go out and do it yourself. Sometimes I think that's the best thing that I would do is I'd want to speak with people myself. But those sales reps are out there and they're money motivated, so they'll go out and get you clients and bring you an agreement here and there that you never expected to get. So it's kind of a plus there. Now, Rebecca says, should your employees only be based in the U.S. or any country? That is, can they work remotely?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yes, they can work remotely, and I would say how you want to structure your company is entirely up to you. So that would be a personal choice. But yes.
Yeah, we're as I mentioned to you earlier, Tierney, we're a virtual company, virtually speaking, because even though we have offices that we can meet people in and so forth, we don't really necessarily have to be in any one spot. We've got technology partners from coast to coast. We've got support people in different states, licensees who act as our coaches for other licensees. They're scattered all over the United States as well. And so most of my staff could just work from a laptop, at McDonald's if they wanted to, although
Yeah,
they have home office.
absolutely. Yes.
What is Don says? What is the biggest and most common customer complaint that you've experienced in the billing business?
Um, well, I think when you're in this industry, you'll find that we're kind of like the stepchildren, if you will. We kind of get a lot of the blame for things, and so as long as you, like I said, have that relationship with your clients, um, and in my office we do, I call it journaling for insurance, where when situations arise, we're constantly documenting what's going on. So when you have a client come to you with an issue, you're able to go back to them with a solution. And ABS provides a lot of those to you.
Yeah,
But I mean, we're just in an industry with physicians, and how do I put this politely? They think highly of themselves. So anyway, you have to figure out how to deal with that personality type. It's just a part of the game.
hmm hmm Uh, now, folks, I'm going to let Tierney go here in about 5 minutes. So if you have questions that you want her to ask directly, just type them in. Now, if there are questions about our opportunity or ABS, I'm going to stay on here right up until the hour, 5 o'clock here in Texas. So I'll continue answering questions. Tierney, I have a picture on the screen here. Oops, I just moved it. Here it is. This is your staff as of a few years ago. I think I count 11 other ladies in this picture besides you there in the middle. And you've grown that now
Yeah.
to 50%. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you're moving towards more virtual as well, I understand, Tierney. In other words, you've got people working from their homes, do you?
Yeah, we do. We even though we have a office space that holds quite a few people, we're starting to get maxed out. So we're finally getting in a state where we need to try to make that transition. So yes, I have employees that are working from home, and and that's what's so great about this industry is we have the flexibility to do that.
Well, the technology that's available nowadays, and even the resources like Alex is mentioning here. ABS has a beautiful office in Texas. Thank you, Alex. But he may not even have seen this one. This is a new one that we've moved to that is right over in the South Lake area of the Fort Worth, Dallas area, and it is a six-story building that has multiple offices in it. We have a meeting conference space there. So even though we're virtual, we still have office space and a location that people can come visit or they can mail things to. It's just that nowadays you can be a virtual company even with your phone system. We teach people, in fact, how to set up their office to sound like that they're a huge company with an 800 number, but it's really just it's all virtual. It's all done through phone systems that are out there on servers in the clouds. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how when I started BillTech, how I started. That's the system we used until I actually ended up hiring someone ultimately because we did move into an office space. So, no, that's a great system.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see, Attorney. I see one or two other questions here, and I'm going to let you go because thank you so much. I know you're busy, and this is great that you taken time out of your business to call in and answer questions from people. One of the questions here from Alex is how have the large doctor groups and hospital groups disrupted the growth potential for an ABS licensee? There are doctors going to work for big groups and hospitals out there. Are there still independent doctors out there though to sign up?
Yeah, of course there's independent providers, but just because a provider joins a hospital group doesn't mean you can't bill for them. That's, I have a client that I do that for. So, that is something that's going on. You do have providers leaving their private practice to join groups, but there's still plenty of providers that are in private practice.
Yeah, we have licensees, of course, signing up doctors every day all across the United States, so we know they're out there. And of course, that doesn't even count the ones that graduate from medical school every year. Hey, have you heard
Exactly.
recently? Have you heard, Tierney, that there are medical schools that are waiving all tuition fees? They have these big millionaires that are funding doctors' education. Yeah, it's amazing.
I did hear that. Yes.
Yeah, it's what's happening out there right now. So there'll be that many more doctors, I think, going. I mean, people going and getting
Right.
into the medical school because of that.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, Jeremy and Alex and several others here are saying, thank you, Tierney. Thank you so much. This has been very helpful. Thanks for your time. And so, Tierney, again, I appreciate your time today so much. And I'm so proud of what you've done with the business. You're a perfect example of people who take our opportunity and run with it.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been a blessing and one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I'm grateful.
Well, thank you, Tierney. All right, we'll talk to you later. Hey, let us know if there's anything we can do to help and keep us up on where your business is, of course, as you continue to grow it.
You bet. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right, folks, I'm going to answer a few more questions here that are on the screen. You have me live, the CEO of the company, to answer questions to directly. So if you missed asking a question there directly to Tierney, I'll address some of these and see if I can make any sense out of them from my standpoint. Now, remember, ABS is not in the medical billing business. We don't compete with you. There are companies who teach people how to get into this business, and they're in the business themselves. So I just feel like that's competing with their own licensees, and it doesn't seem a fair and a right way to run a business. So we are a support and training company. That's all we do is train people and then support them with all of our staff all across the United States. We continue to support people even though they've been through our training years ago. So that's just the way we run our business. No extra fees. We don't charge you annual fees for support or anything like that. We figure once you've purchased the license and have gone through our training, then you deserve our support. Besides, we make money on the backside of our company as well. And I don't usually have to tell people this, but folks, there are other services that you can offer. Here's some of our marketing materials, by the way, that you get in the package, the business package when you get licensed by us. And those services all make us money on the back end as a company as well. So why wouldn't we support you forever? Because the more money you make, the more money we make as a company as well. Um, let's see. Ken says regarding that last question around me, lots of providers in order to affiliate with the dominant hospital systems are required to use Epic. Do you do any billing for anyone using other EHRs? Well, sorry that we didn't get to that, Ken, before Tierni had to go, but I can answer that question for her because I happen to know she's told me that she not only took a huge client away from someone like Epic, I don't know if it was Epic, but she's also replaced other EHRs in doctors' offices as well. Because believe me, there was a lot of what's the word? Untested software systems out there when electronic health records came around a few years back, and doctors jumped into those before they did their research and before they were perfected. A lot of those companies went out of business. We've been around doing this for, like I said, 25 years, folks, and our system is solid. It's used by thousands of doctors all across America, and it's never had any unplanned downtime, which is saying a lot for a system that's cloud-based. That's because we have redundant servers in different parts of the country, and if one goes down, it all switches over to the other one, and it's transparent to the users. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't take it down every once in a while on purpose to do some upgrades and things like that, but it's usually, like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we give people plenty of notice when that does happen. Okay. Is this recorded webinar recorded? Sundar asked. Yes, it is. And Sundar, you should get an email. Everybody should get an email that attended or that didn't attend with a link to the recording. You'll get that here within the next 24 hours probably. Rebecca says, do we do billing for only doctors or the whole health sector? Rebecca, I wished I could find the list of all the specialties that you can bill for, but it's literally every specialty that's out there. Now, you don't do billing for hospitals because, first of all, that's not a market that you would want to go after. It's very competitive. Most hospitals have millions of dollars and dozens of staff members that are involved in their billing. So it's not something that you would want to go after, at least initially. Now, having said that, our technology partners have cloud-based systems that you can use for billing for hospitals if that's what you wanted to do. It's just not the first place you'd want to start as well. And the same way with dental, not many people have dental insurance, and there's just not a whole lot of dentists don't see near as many patients as the doctors do. It's a whole completely different type of billing for dentists as well. Again, having said that, we do have dental billing platforms that if you wanted to go that route, you could. We just don't support you on that initially because there's way too much more business out there, with the doctors. Okay. And Alex says, thank you, Patrick. I'm excited to be joining in a matter of days now. Okay, Alex, can't wait to talk with you personally over the phone. Once you join, I call everybody and kind of have a discussion with them about why they decided to get into the business and so forth. And then once you get your first client, I'll do an interview with you just like I did just now with Tierni. Let's see, I wanted to cover just a couple of things here, folks. I see a few more questions. By the way, part of our package, of course, is not only do you get access to the our systems, of course, our online cloud-based systems, you also have marketing materials that are personalized with your name and contact information on them. We have books that you can actually put your name on the front cover along with me and Dr. Vicki Ragnar. We have presentation folders. We have websites, of course, for you. We help you set up your professional website. We have templates already designed with all of our information about all of our services on those. We have trade show displays that you can just borrow anytime you want to from us. Some of these cost $4,000 or $5,000, but if you have a trade show or you want to go to a convention, you can set these up, and it's a great way to contact doctors as well. That's all included. Then we have an online postcard, a mailing system that's all online in the cloud. You have access to that as well as a licensee with our pre-designed cards telling the doctors about all of our different services. Folks, I mentioned that we have support people. This is an actual photo of one of our support centers out in California. We have people in Florida as well, in all time zones. So we've got you covered, and we've got literally over 100 people with our technology partners, with all the different services that you can offer to doctors that can help you with any aspect of your business. And of course, we've got support people here, right here in Fort Worth as well. Let's see. Shabina says, do you teach billing and coding? Now, of course, we teach people how to do the billing for doctors, but Shabina, the nice thing is that our system does not, you don't have to learn about coding because we have certified medical coders that can help you with any coding questions or problems that you have with doctors. That is a part of your license when you purchase your license from us, that you have access to those people. And you don't need to know a whole lot about coding because it's all built into our system. We've done some screenshots here that show you that you can actually see there on these screenshots actual codes that are built into our system. All the ICD codes, all the diagnosis codes, and the procedure codes, the CPT codes, are in our system as well. Thousands of codes, and you don't need to know anything about any of those because they're built in. Rebecca's asking about the $27,000 licensing fee to become a license. You don't have to have any monthly payments, Rebecca. We do ask you to pay that fee up front. You can put that on credit card or credit cards in some cases, and you can pay for that that way, and just pay it out, on your credit cards. There are no ongoing fees of any kind for support or training from ABS. Yeah. Shiraz says, if the doctor doesn't want to change their EHR, does your system integrate with other EHRs? Yeah, great question, Shiraz. It does. As long as theirs is what's called, code 7. In other words, they are based on the type of system that can transfer information from one computer to another. We can integrate with them. So you don't have to worry about that. There are other systems out there that we can integrate our system with if that's what the doctor wants to do. Somebody's asking, what's your most difficult challenge in operating your business? I think this was for Tierni. Employee turnover, pay, benefits, new clients, processes, etc. Well, Don, I'm sorry that Tierni didn't get to answer this. I don't know what she would ask that, but I think she would probably say it really has to do with, getting clients. Now, that's the great part about our system. We've already included in our system about 10 different ways that you can get clients. So we go through that in detail. We also have designed and spent a lot of money on the marketing materials that you need to look professional in going out and marketing. We also offer a money back guarantee for those of you who go through our training for any reason you don't think this business is right for you. You just tell us and we'll arrange for you to receive a full refund of your license fees, so you don't have any risk with ABS. With any other company, once you send them your money, that's it. Now, we have had a few people ask for refunds over the years, a handful of people, for various reasons. So it does happen, but it's only because probably their particular circumstances were just not right, and maybe they didn't do enough due diligence to go through the training and know what it was all about. But that is pretty solid. I don't know of any other company that offers a money back guarantee on a business opportunity / franchise opportunity like ABS does. You can check with the Better Business Bureau in Fort Worth. You'll see that we have the highest rating that they offer to businesses, which is an A+. You don't do that by, not doing what you say you're going to do. And as I mentioned earlier, folks, you can get started on your online training with ABS within usually about 72 hours. That's right. We've got people signing up this week that will be starting their training on Monday, and then they'll be able to go through that training at their own pace as quickly as they want to. Usually we don't recommend more than about 3 modules a week. Now, here's the steps that we have outlined here, folks, if you want to take a look at them. The first one is to get that research guide. Now, you can do that by getting back with the person who invited you to this webinar. Just re-email that person who sent you the email to this one and say, hey, I just want to get that research guide. It's an online 50-page document that you can browse through. In fact, you know what I think I'll do for those of you who've hung in here for this whole webinar, I'm going to drop that right into the handouts section right now. Look over there somewhere close to the question box. There'll be a handout section. And if you open that up, here in about 15 seconds, you'll see that guide. You can just download it right now, to your computer. I'll leave this running, this webinar, until you get that downloaded. Then number 2, as you can see there, is to browse YouTube. That's right. We have a whole series of webinars and interviews and interesting things on our YouTube channel. You'll see that right there on this slide. It's youtube.com/whyabs. And so go take a look at some of those as well. Then you'll want to get some references from us after you've done a couple of items here. We'll give you references of people like Tierni all across America that have gone through our training and can tell you that we really do what we say we're going to do. And you can ask them all the questions you want about their business. Then we want you to be sure and get a live demo as well. That is, we'll go through our system online, since ours is not on a CD that we can ship out to you. It's cloud-based. We will give you a live demo, one-on-one, walking you through this. It's about a 45-minute demo, and you can ask all the questions you want of the iClaim billing system and our EMRX electronic health record system as well. Then you'll want to review the purchase agreement and the funding instructions. Now, your ABS rep can get that to you, and let me show you a picture of those reps that are right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Jason Pettit, Adam Phillips, and Dirk Davis. There's their email addresses, there's their phone numbers. You can take the time, and since this is recorded, you'll be able to see those on the recording as well. Or take you a screenshot right now of the screen, and you'll have those people's contact information right there in front of you. There's also our 866 number. That's a toll-free number. You can call that anytime and just, I think it's push number 1 to find out more about the opportunity. And we'll give you the name of the person who you've been working with. We have that in our database here. So folks, thank you again for taking time to be on this webinar today. I hope we see you next week. And I hope I get to talk to you here quickly as you complete your paperwork and get your training all lined up. I want to have a one-on-one discussion with you myself about your business, your background, and what your goals are in the business. I'm interested in every one of your success in the business once you get in it. Again, we do this because we're good people, but we're also a solid business model, and we make money again on the services that you offer to the doctor. So we want you to get as many clients as you possibly can. So once you've completed the training, that's our goal, is to get you a client as quickly as possible.